Hello friends, let us start editorial discussion. Grim sovereign tangle. GST reform should not fall victim to the trust deficit from the compensation standoff. Three years after India's new indirect tax regime was introduced with the slogan of One Nation, One Ration, One Tax, it faces an existential crisis. Despite its patchy structure with too many rates, complex compliance requirements, and multiple mid-course changes, the implementation of GST, overseen together by center and the state. Now, this had begun to almost serve as an exemplar of cooperative federalism. All of those gains have quickly unraveled by the as the slowdown in the economy, exacerbated by the COVID-19 lockdowns. Exacerbated means और ख़राब करना situation को, has thrown all revenue calculations to the wind. The center is obliged to pay to the states for a period of 5 years compensation for revenue shortfalls in return for their having ceded the power to levy the multiple taxes that were subsumed into the GST. Last week, Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman asserted at what may have been the most tenuous GST Council meeting so far that the centre will not be able to meet the compensation shortfall. With GST collections sharply undershooting all targets this year, the centre estimates compensation payable for the full year at 3 lakh crore. But just 65,000 crore is expected in the cess kitty used to pay out the compensation. In July, the centre paid out the last installment of compensation for the last fiscal and is so far yet to pay anything for this year. States have now been given two options, both requiring them to borrow from the market. The centre contends that only 97,000 crore of the revenue shortfall is from implementation of the GST, while 1.38 lakh crore is due to extraordinary circumstances posed by an act of God, the pandemic. States can either borrow 97,000 crore without having it added to their debt and with their principal and interest paid out from future cess collections, or they can borrow the entire 2.35 lakh crore shortfall but will have to provide for interest payments themselves. The finance ministry has argued that higher borrowing by the centre will push up interest rates and dent India's fiscal parameters. At best, this is specious. Total government debt, including states, is what rating agencies look at. Several states have rejected both options, and some, including Tamil Nadu, have urged the centre to rethink in view of their essential and urgent spending needs. To curb the pandemic and spur growth, a steering match is in the offing. It is up to the centre to resolve this impasse in a way that future GST reforms do not fall victim to the trust deficit engendered by this standoff. The pandemic response is strengthened and all round government capital spending is to bolster sagging demand, not derailed. For now, the only certainty is that the compensation cess levied on demerit goods will stay on beyond 2022 and may even be raised, affecting several businesses, including the jobs intensive auto sector. Dissent and detention. Allahabad High Court order quashing Dr. Kafil Khan's detention exposes state persecution. If ever any evidence was needed that Dr. Kafil Khan, a government doctor from Gorakhpur, has been a victim of state persecution, the Allahabad High Court has provided that. Its 42-page order has laid bare the malefic manner in which the doctor was detained under the NSA National Security Act on February 13, 2020, shortly after he was granted bail in an earlier case. Dr. Khan, suspended in 2017 after a severe shortage of oxygen cylinders, took a deadly deadly toll among children admitted to the encephalitis ward in the Baba Raghav Das Medical College, Gorakhpur, was arrested on January 29, 2020 for an address to students of Aligarh Muslim University last December. His speech, which contained scathing criticisms of a Citizenship Amendment Act and its discriminatory nature, was deemed inflammatory weeks after he had made it. The High Court has now found that, far from inciting Muslims, the speech, taken in its entirety, does not disclose any effort to promote hatred or violence, and nowhere does it threaten peace in Aligarh. The DM Aligarh, the court says, used selective reading of some phrases and ignored its true intent while passing the detention order. No reasonable man, it says, would have come to the conclusion about the speech that the DM did. The grounds for detention under NSA provided nothing that indicated any attempt by Dr. Khan to disturb peace and tranquility between the speech in December and his detention in February. The inevitable inference is that the NSA was invoked only to avoid releasing him following the Chief Judicial Magistrate Court's order granting him bail. The process to invoke the NSA itself began only after the bail order. The bench, comprising Chief Justice Govind Mathur and Soumitra Dayal Singh, noted the use of stringent national security laws against political dissenters in the absence of any appeal to violence is something to be condemned in all cases. However, there is something perverse about the resort to preventive detention just to frustrate bail orders. In particular, the authorities have shown excessive zeal in dealing with Dr. Khan. In 2017, he was arrested on charges of negligence and corruption, even though circumstances indicated his strenuous efforts to ensure continuous oxygen supply. He spent months in prison before an inquiry absolved him of the charges of negligence and corruption, but was found to have been engaging in private practice. The pediatrician suspension is yet to be revoked. Even though the verdict gives him relief, it comes after he spent 7 months in jail, and his case will someday go to trial. The case of Dr. Khan is poor advertisement of India's democratic credentials, for it brings to light its propensity to criminalize dissent, single out individuals for persecution, and display a general disregard for basic rights. A missed opportunity. The Gopalakrishnan Committee report does not adequately address governance frameworks around government datasets. The Committee of Experts on the Non-Personal Data Governance Framework has recommended in its report, among other things, making privately held non-personal data open. The objective is to make such data available for general use. The Committee Experts on Non-Personal Data Governance Framework has recommended in its report, among other things, making privately held non-personal data open. The objective is to make such data available for general use, and though the committee does lay down conditions for such data transfer, कमिटी ऑफ एक्सपर्ट्स जो है नॉन पर्सनल डेटा गवर्नेंस फ्रेमवर्क पे कमिटी ऑफ एक्सपर्ट्स ने रिकमेंड किया है अपनी रिपोर्ट में टू मेक जो नॉन पर्सनल डेटा है वो जो प्राइवेटली हेल्ड है उसको ओपन करने के लिए द ऑब्जेक्टिव इज़ टू मेक सच डेटा अवेलेबल फॉर जनरल यूज़ के लिए ओपन होना चाहिए. दो द कमिटी डज ले डाउन कंडीशंस, यहाँ पे कुछ कंडीशंस भी अप्लाई की गई फॉर सच डेटा ट्रांसफर्स. दिस हैज़ रेज्ड कंसर्न्स अबाउट स्टेट इंटरफेरेंस. स्टेट के इंटरफेरेंस प्राइवेट डेटा इकोसिस्टम में कंसर्न्स हुए हैं. We think that the report is a missed opportunity to address the governance framework around what some of the most important non-personal data sets in a country, those created by government agencies or those resulting from taxpayer money. Non-personal data are data that do not identify an individual, जिससे किसी particular individual की identity नहीं पता चलती है. Non-personal data वो होता है. Nonetheless, such data can be useful. ना ही ये डेटा यूज़फुल होता है इन ईदर फ्रेमिंग पब्लिक पॉलिसी नॉनदलेस मीन्स फिर भी ये डेटा क्या होता है, यूज़फुल होता है पब्लिक पॉलिसी फ्रेम करने में, क्रिएटिंग एंड प्रोवाइडिंग न्यू सर्विसेज। फॉर एग्जाम्पल के लिए एग्रीगेट डेटा फ्रॉम लैंड रजिस्ट्रीज, जो लैंड रजिस्ट्रीज का जो एग्रीगेट डेटा है वो हमें बता सकता है अबाउट लैंड यूज़ पैटर्न्स, लैंड का यूज़ किस तरह से हो रहा है। डेटा रिलेटेड टू ट्रैफिक फ्लोज कैन बी यूज टू गाइड ट्रैफिक मैनेजमेंट ट्रैफिक फ्लो का जो डेटा है वो ट्रैफिक को कैसे मैनेज करना है उसके लिए यूज़ हो सकता है। नॉन पर्सनल डेटा आर ऑल्सो व्यूड एज क्रिटिकल फॉर डेवलपमेंट ऑफ AI इकोसिस्टम। AI आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस को कैसे यूज़ करना है उसके इकोसिस्टम के डेवलपमेंट के लिए नॉन पर्सनल डेटा को यूज़ किया जा सकता है। वाई डेटा शुड बी ओपन टू सिटीजन्स। सम ऑफ द मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट नॉन पर्सनल डेटा सेट्स आर हेल्ड बाई गवर्नमेंट। जो मोस्ट इंपॉर्टेंट नॉन पर्सनल डेटा सेट्स है वो गवर्नमेंट के पास है और रिजल्ट फ्रॉम टैक्स पेयर फंडिंग। There are 5 reasons why these should be open to the citizens of the country. ये किस लिए ओपन होना चाहिए कंट्री के सिटीजन्स के लिए। फर्स्ट रीज़न है इसके 5 रीज़न है, वी हैव 5 रीजन्स। फर्स्ट रीज़न है कि द स्टेट शुड बी ट्रांसपेरेंट अबाउट द इन्फॉर्मेशन दैट इट हैज़। इसके बाद जो भी इन्फॉर्मेशन है उसको वो उसके लिए ट्रांसपेरेंट होना चाहिए। दिस विल इम्प्रूव अकाउंटेबिलिटी, इसके लिए वो अकाउंटेबिलिटी होगी उसमें। दिस इज़ वन ऑफ द रीज़न वाई RTI एक्ट 2005 मैंडेट्स द डिस्क्लोजर ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट डेटा। दिस इज़ वन ऑफ द रीज़न, यही रीज़न ये एक रीज़न में से है कि जो RTI 2005 के तहत जो डिस्क्लोज़र होता है गवर्नमेंट डेटा का ऑन अ सुओ मोटो बेसिस। सेकेंड रीज़न क्या है, इफ़ टैक्स पेयर मनी हैज़ फंडेड एनी ऑफ द डेटा सेट्स। अगर टैक्स पेयर का मनी से कोई भी डेटा सेट को फंडिंग हुई है देन इट इज़ एन ऑब्लिगेशन ऑफ द स्टेट टू रन द फ्रूट्स ऑफ दैट फंडिंग। तो ये स्टेट्स के ऊपर ऑब्लिगेशन हो जाता है कि वो उसकी फंडिंग जो हो वो फंडिंग का जो भी उसको मिलना चाहिए टैक्स पेयर को वो मिले। थर्ड रीज़न क्या है कि बाय परमिटिंग द रीयूज़ ऑफ गवर्नमेंट डेटा सेट्स वी अवॉइड द नीड फॉर डुप्लीकेशन। हम डुप्लीकेशन की ज़रूरत ही नहीं पड़ेगी जब हम उसके रीयूज़ गवर्नमेंट डेटा सेट्स को रीयूज़ करना परमिट करेंगे। फोर्थ रीज़न क्या है, गवर्नमेंट डेटा सेट्स क्यूरेटेड अकॉर्डिंग टू पब्लिकली वेरीफाइड स्टैंडर्ड्स। जो इस तरह से पब्लिकली वेरीफाइड स्टैंडर्ड्स हैं उसके कैन लीड टू इंक्रीज्ड कॉन्फिडेंस in data quality and increased usage. Finally, free flow of information can have beneficial effects in general on society. In theory, we know that the government agrees with this proposition. Besides the RTI Act, we have in place many policies that promote and provide for openness of such data. For instance, RTI के अलावा भी हमारे पास कई ऐसी पॉलिसीज़ हैं दैट प्रोमोट एंड प्रोवाइड फॉर ओपननेस ऑफ सच डेटा। इस तरह के डेटा को ओपन और प्रोमोट करने के लिए वी हैव प्रोमोट करती हैं। फॉर इंस्टेंस वन ऑफ द 9 पिलर्स ऑफ द डिजिटल इंडिया पॉलिसी, डिजिटल इंडिया पॉलिसी के 9 पिलर्स में से एक क्या कहती है कि इंफॉर्मेशन फॉर ऑल। द नेशनल डेटा शेयरिंग एंड एक्सेसिबिलिटी पॉलिसी NDSAP 2012 requires all non-sensitive information held by public authorities to be made publicly accessible in machine readable formats. Machine readable formats में होना चाहिए। The government has also set up an open government data platform. Open government data platform सेटअप किया है गवर्नमेंट ने टू प्रोवाइड ओपन एक्सेस टू डेटा सेट्स हेल्ड बाय मिनिस्ट्रीज़ का जो भी डेटा सेट्स अवेलेबल हैं उन पर ओपन एक्सेस प्रोवाइड करने के लिए एंड अदर एजेंसीज टू ऑफ द गवर्नमेंट। वेरियस स्टेट्स हैव ऑल्सो either created their own data portals or have provided data sets to the open government data platform. Failure to create an open data security. In practice, the quality and quantity of data sets published by the government are still fell short of ideal. प्रैक्टिकली ये इतना अच्छे से इम्प्लीमेंटेशन नहीं हुआ। इन एडिशन द गवर्नमेंट्स जनरल रेटिसेंस, चुप्पी साध लेना, to make valuable information sets available to the public is well known. There are 2 reasons for a failure to create open data based society. First is the lack of clarity in some of the provisions of NDSAP or the relevant implementation guidelines. Second reason is in the inability to enforce guidelines appropriately. which has meant that data sets released by governments are often inconsistent, incomplete, outdated, published in non-machine readable or inconsistent formats, including include duplicates and lack or any metadata. Metadata is data of data, thereby reducing reusability. The Gopal Krishnan committee could have evaluated what is going wrong with existing policies and practice pertaining to government data and deliberated on how these can be addressed. Instead, the report largely focuses on dangers posed by data collection by private sector entities without going into the merits and demerits of taking an interventionist approach to the data ecosystem. Many of the concerns should be addressed in the report that are central to the governance of the data ecosystem have sadly remained in the background. For instance, India's cybersecurity framework continues to be woefully inadequate, while even the Justice B.N. Krishna Committee report of 2018 highlighted the need to restrict the growing power of the state to carry out surveillance. Since data governance is a relatively new concept in India, the governance should be better served in taking an incremental approach to any perceived problems. This should begin with reforming how the government itself deals with citizens' data. This would engender create greater trust in data governance practices and importantly allow the development of state capacity to govern the data ecosystem.